You're watching the Ivy League on ESPN. It's a redo from a meet that was supposed to be a couple of days ago, but Mother Nature said, no, it's going to be Tuesday night gymnastics here from New Haven, Connecticut, as New Hampshire takes on Yale. Hey everybody, welcome inside John J. Lee Amphitheater alongside the former All-American Kaya Johnson. I'm JJ Duke, and Kaya, we were supposed to be here on Sunday. It's a Tuesday night now, but the good news for both of these teams are they're finding that incremental progress that you want to have at this time of the season.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. They both had really great outings the last time they competed, but with the weather, they've had a couple extra days to really get to fine-tuning those details, so I'm really excited to see what they both bring tonight.
Over a foot of snow was the one that really kind of got us delayed to today, but let's take a look at the profiles for both of these teams. First for UNH, scoring above a 195 in their last home meet. They're coming in with great confidence, and they're so much fun to watch on floor.
Exactly. They have so much confidence, but they also have a lot of room to improve, and they're really working toward that. So they were able to fine-tune those details, and I'm ready for them to show it tonight.
Meanwhile, for Yale, they had a very tight dual meet in their last meet against Brown, losing by less than 0.3 of a point, but this is a team that very much in the same space as New Hampshire.
Yeah, it was a great performance. Obviously, would have liked to get the win, but again, I know that they're focusing on, their consistency and building their confidence, so I'm hopeful that that'll show tonight.
Usually we tee up how the events are going to go, but let's hear now from the Yale gymnasts to tell you what's going to happen tonight.
Vault is an event that highlights power and speed. Gymnasts can run from a maximum of 82 feet, hitting the springboard and then flipping and twisting off the table and trying to stick the landing. Judges look for difficulty, height, distance traveled from the table, form, and stuck landings. Often a crowd favorite, you can expect to see high-flying releases, gymnasts moving from high bar to low bar, dynamic swinging elements, and huge flipping and twisting dismounts. Routines with solid handstand positions, form, tempo, and stuck landings will score the highest. Just 4 inches wide, the balance beam challenges gymnasts because they must execute routines while demonstrating height, flexibility, and power. Each beam routine is unique but must include an acrobatic series, high-flying leaps and jumps, and high-difficulty dismount within 90 seconds. A perfect beam routine will have no wobbles, great form, big acrobatic skills and leaps, confidence, and a stuck dismount.
Floor is the most creative event because it showcases the gymnast's personality through their music and choreography. You can expect to see multiple tumbling passes with forward and backwards flipping and twisting elements, a combination of leaps and jumps, and expressive dance. A floor routine must be completed in 90 seconds and gymnasts must stay in bounds. We love to hear our fans get loud and cheer during our floor routines. Go Bulldogs!
Awesome stuff, guys, as we're just about ready to go here for the first rotation. It's going to be Yale who will head to the vault, and they're coming off of a week last week where they scored a 48.55, which was a season best. They were led by the 9.775 from Ella Tashjian. Meanwhile, for UNH, they're going to be on the bars, and I joked with head coach Lindsay Ayotte before this meet saying, when we talked last year, because New Hampshire came down to take in a quad meet here at John J. Lee Amphitheater, she said then, bars are not our friend. Well, it's funny how things turn 1 year later, because very much bars, like all 4 rotations, are the friend for New Hampshire. They scored a 48.85 and led by the 9.8 from Serena Mullen, who is someone that we're going to keep an eye on all throughout today's meet, the senior from Hamden, Connecticut, who was named the Eagle Conference Gymnast of the Week. And Kaya, we start with New Hampshire briefly on the bars. This is a team right now that they're very much there or thereabout in what's turned out to be a really competitive Eagle Conference with Towson and GW.
Yes, they had such a great bar rotation last week. Hit a lot of handstands, had some really high-flying dismounts, but didn't stick as many as they want. So I know that's a focus tonight, and I'm excited to see if they can put those routines together.
Polina Manave is going to lead off. She'll do the all-around, but leading off on 3 of the 4 events. Meanwhile, Lily Acoin is getting ready to go on the vault. If we could get over to her.
Lily starts with a beautiful Yurchenko full. Nice body position, just a small little step.
Last week, Lily went a 9.55. It was her score that was dropped, but set the tone for Yale on the vault.
Polina's working a great bar routine. If she can get this last handstand, which she does. Going into a nice double layout and gets the stick. That's the exact way they want to start that rotation.
Sticks are contagious, and
They definitely are.
That's what Polina has done, and her coach was telling us before. She is just a true competitor and wants to be in the lineup. Said that in years past, just was one event and then an occasional exhibition, but that just wasn't enough for her. And it's interesting as well, we don't often, Kaya, see a leadoff in 3 events actually be someone that's the all-around.
Exactly. She is, like you mentioned, a competitor, and that's exactly who you want in those leadoff spots to get the team going and set them up for success the rest of the way through.
The one event that we won't see her on leadoff, that will be on floor. That's the 3rd rotation for UNH. She'll be in the 5 spot. You're taking a look at Annie Bilby, the first year from Louisiana, who was recently named the Gymnastics East Conference Newcomer of the Week. Someone that has a lot of power and a lot of difficulty as well, and she was warming up a 10-0 start value vault. Didn't see it last week, but Annie has gone as high as a 9.675.
Yeah, her vault last week was great. She had a lot of power, which makes me think she could put that 10-0 in, but we'll see.
And over on the bars for UNH, that would be Maddie Harvey, another standout. But it looks like Annie is ready here.
Does a beautiful cosful small hop on the landing, but the height was great, and again, she's so powerful, you can see it.
And she loves a celly as well.
Love the celebration.
Always hits that as well. I'm not quite sure, is that the extended dab?
I'm not sure it relates to the dab. It's more of a TikTok thing.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, whatever makes you happy, whatever gets the group going, you're going to see a lot of cellies, especially from the UNH side. Maddie Harvey is getting ready to go. The sophomore from Michigan has gone as high as a 9.725 this season. This was an athlete that was only competing on beam last year. She did vault once, but now has upped herself to 3 regular events. There's actually the normal leadoff on beam as well.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, they have been in the gym during the preseason and even going back to the summer, working super hard, everybody trying to improve on multiple events, even the ones that they didn't compete. And now you're seeing them in the lineups, which is really exciting for UNH.
Bit of a delay for Maddie as they're still sorting out Polina Menave's score. Lilia Coyne with a 9.6 to lead off. Getting a look at Ashley Stafford. Ashley, a freshman who's been inserted into the lineup, was an exhibition on vault last week.
Maddie starting with a beautiful cast handstand. Going straight into that shaposh. Nice bail to handstand. Her form on this event is amazing. Look at her toe point all the way through. Blind full. Double tuck. Got a little bit of a blocked view. Not sure if she stuck that landing, but it looked pretty good to me.
Cheeky little shrug says, I think she did. This is an athlete coming off of a 9.925 on the beam last week. It's gone as high as a 9.275, as I said, and it's a credit to her what she's done and just setting the tone. And this is something that UNH has really, really gotten into themselves this season, is they want to really tighten up the team culture. They want the energy in the gym to be high, but also the work to be, in the forefront. Get the work done during the week so you can enjoy and play on the weekend. And that's why you're seeing New Hampshire, they're bringing their scores up.
And that's exactly what you want, especially at this time of year. You put so much work in the preseason. Now it's time to have fun and just show it. Very nice vault for Annie. I know she wasn't in the lineup last week, so it's great to see that she got in and delivered for her team.
Yeah, Ashley Stafford, the first year from California. Exhibition last week with a 9.75. It's been an interesting one, Kaya, when you look at Yale's exhibition this season across their first 2 meets. They're away at Penn State to begin the year, and last week at home, and some of their exhibition routines have been really strong. You had Megan Bruick actually post a career high on beam with a 9.8. They've had some really strong athletes on the floor and on the vault, and that's something that head coach Andy Lease has been so happy about, is just the depth in his squad.
That's exactly where you want to be. If you have extras, there is no problem with that. And the fact that these girls are able to step into the lineup whenever and hit their routine speaks volumes on their practice environment. Just because you're in the top 6 does not mean that your position is stable throughout the whole year. Everybody's working really hard and pushing each other.
Ella Tashjian, the junior from Vermont. 9.775 on vault, season best. She won the vault last week against Brown. Her NQS last year was a 9.725.
A beautiful high-flying Yurchenko full and gets the stick. That is exactly what they want to see.
Meanwhile, Leah Moreno on the bars for New Hampshire. Polina Menave started with a 9.65.
She does a beautiful chapas straight into that overshoot. Sometimes with those connections, you can see some form breaks, maybe bent knees, leg separation, but none from Leah. Awesome dismount. Tried really, really hard to fight for that stick.
The thing that I enjoy about Leah's routine, her lines are beautiful on that event especially, and this is an athlete who's always been so consistent on the bars. Leah already scored a 9.775. She's been multiple time all-conference on that event. She scored, in fact, actually on the vault last year, her season best 9.8, then went as high as a 9.825 last year. Couple of scores coming in. Maddie Harvey with a 9.8. After Polina Menave's 9.65. This is Gigi Sabatini for Yale.
Another great Yurchenko full. Her amplitude is amazing. She tried to hold on to that stick, had to slide her feet back just a little bit.
Annie Bilby went 9.625. Ashley Stafford a 9.7, so great introduction into the lineup for her. Ella Tashjian with a 9.8. That might be a career best for her. We'll look into that in a second as you're going to look at Peyton Novinger, the sophomore from Hershey, Pennsylvania, who is a bar specialist, though has competed exhibition on the floor a couple of times in her career. Peyton has gone as high as a 9.775. This was an athlete that didn't actually compete last season in the lineup exhibition a couple of times.
Peyton starting really beautiful cast handstand. Unfortunately had a miss on that chapash. Going back to re-chalk.
Meanwhile, while she does that, Lauren Burt, who is the anchor for Yale on the vault.
Another amazing Yurchenko full, stuck cold. You said it earlier, sticks are contagious, and that's what we just saw. That was a great vault rotation for Yale.
I mean, this is just building on what has been an outstanding rotation for Yale. The Ella Tashjian's 9.8, just shy of her career high, as right now Peyton Novinger continuing her routine.
You notice she had to redo the chapash because she was connecting down to the low bar. Did it well the second time. And finishing with a great toe-on front half dismount. Obviously not the routine that she wanted, but she finished well, and it's important to do that because you never know. Even if you have a fall, your score might count.
Going to look at the first year, Ella Hargraves, native of Indiana, who exhibition on vault last week with a 9.65. We also are going to see her later on the beam as well. And Andy Lease with some real high praise for her on that event, specifically saying such a great artistic look and great lines on that event. Waiting on Lauren Burt's score as well. Yale currently on a 48.35, which is a little over a tenth lower from where they were last week, but they're hoping to drop Lily Acoin's 9.6. Leah Moreno with a 9.7 as well.
The grateful, her rotation was a bit slow, which is why she landed with her chest down, but overall a good vault, and she's getting experience getting into the lineup, so that's all that she can ask for.
This one, I can tell you, a new career high for Lauren Burt, a 9.85. Her previous best was a 9.775. And was tied for second on vault last week in that duel against Brown. Yale scoring a 48.6, which would have tied their high from last season. This is week 3.
This is exactly where they want to be. They had great high-flying vaults last week against Brown, but one area of improvement that they wanted to focus on was landings, and we saw that today, so a very good start to this competition.
I mean, I'm going to have to ask Coach Andy Leese afterwards about how many times you've had multiple 9/8s in your vault rotation. It's been something that he's kind of joked at over the course of the preseason, early season, saying, well, some years, especially his first couple of years as the head coach, could have fallen 4 or 5 times in training during the week, and you're probably still going to be in the lineup. That's just how thin they were in that event specifically, but now has the depth and the competition within the gym, but everyone has bought into what they're building and what they're creating. As they're seeing a judges conference here on the bars. This is for Peyton Novinger, who again missed. It was on her shaposh, correct? It
was on her shaposh. She got up and redid the skill and also got the connection to the overshoot.
So that means Serena Mullen and Zoe Arthur will have to wait for a little while. There's actually still 4 athletes that have to go for New Hampshire in this first rotation, as they have a pair of exhibition, including the athlete who you see right there, Gwen Ackerbloom, another local native from Granby, Connecticut, one of 4 Connecticut natives on this New Hampshire roster, something that New Hampshire's always had over the years, a real New England feel to their squad. So I guess the question for you, Kaya, in this situation, when we have the judges going for this long, is it because of reattempting the skill? Is that the big thing that they're discussing here?
Yeah, I mean, there could be a couple different reasons. Maybe someone missed if she got all of her bonus, or just a lot of different things that the judges are looking at in one routine. And I think it's a little bit harder to keep up with everything, unfortunately, when there is a miss. So normally you see those judges conferences a little more when there's a mistake.
So again, Serena Mullen getting ready to go, an athlete who has garnered a number of Eagle All-Conference accolades in her career. Last year, in fact, competing at Yale, scored a 39 in the all-around. To compete for the all-around for the 15th time in her career today.
You see her still trying to stay in the zone and stay focused. Waiting for the judges is not always the most fun spot to be in, but it's important that you keep yourself locked in and focused on what you have to do, which is exactly what Serena's doing right now. Serena started with a beautiful cast handstand. Nice floaty shaposh right into her overshoot handstand. A little leg separation on the catch. A little bit short on her last cast. But finishing with a huge full out dismount, tiny step. That is the exact routine that you want to have after a fall to sort of right the ship for the rest of the team.
You talked about the mental fortitude that you have to have for waiting for what Serena had to do the better part of 5 minutes from Peyton Novinger wrapping up her routine. But then to go out and put together a routine like that, knowing that your team still has one more athlete to come. It'll be Zoe Arthur. This is going to be the only event that she'll do today. But you have to start that momentum back again, and you know it more than anybody else how difficult that can be, waiting, knowing that, okay, your night could maybe hinge on the way that your routine goes, and she went up and did a job.
Yeah, it's not easy, but Serena displayed it exactly how you would want to do it. She didn't let her teammates' routine affect her. She stayed in her zone and did what she needed to do. She could even probably find areas of improvement. That might have not been her best routine, but she stayed on the equipment, and at the end of the day, after a fall, that is the #1 goal.
Zoe Arthur, native of California, getting ready to go. Posted a season high here last year on the bars of a 9.85, was a second-team Eagle selection. Seeing Coach Ayotte go through the cues with her. I've seen coaches even walk their athletes skill by skill in that pre-talk. A funny conversation last time that Yale were at home with Riley Meeks on commentary, and she was the one that didn't want to hear anything. Just let me be in my zone, and now we go. But everyone's different.
Everyone is different, and it's definitely up to the athletes. The coaches take the time in the preseason to learn what their athletes like, what they don't, so that they can help them as much as they can on the meet day. Zoe starting with a great ray, caught a little bit close to the bar. Going into that pack salto, she also caught close on that, which is why she wasn't able to connect her kip. That'll be a slight deduction, but she did not come off the bar. Goes for her giant full into that double tuck. She gets that stick. One thing I like about that routine is she fought to the end. They've already had a mistake in the lineup, so she made sure. Right here you can see she catches just a little bit close, but covered it up well with a nice cast handstand. And here she just let go a little bit too late, which caused her to get closer to the bar. But again, you see her fight all the way to the end to finish the routine.
Now, their score won't be as low as it currently is right now at a 47.875. That includes the miss from Peyton Novinger. Serena Mullen, by the way, in 9.825. What a comeback routine for her after the miss from Peyton. But certainly, it's not going to be the marks that they've had over the course of this season. They started this year at an event down at Maryland, scored a 48.775, upped it by about a 10th last week. They'll have a couple of exhibition routines as well. One of those being Abby Sherbin, a Wallingford, Connecticut native. About maybe, depending on traffic and slow drivers because of the overfoot of snow that we had here a couple of days ago. Right about 20 minutes north of here. And then it'll be Gwen Ockerbloom to round out. Meanwhile, Yale have been kind of dancing and party for the last 15 or so minutes, as they've been done for a while.
Yep, they are trying to stay warm, obviously waiting on bars to finish competing. Vault is such a quick event, you always have extra time. So it's important to stay warm before you rotate over to bars. Especially
Lauren Holt, who is the leadoff for Yale on bars and very much the tone setter. I've been kind of watching her, and she has been chomping at the bit for a while. It's one of those, can I get going already?
Once you start, it's not fun to stop and wait. You kind of get into your groove and get into the zone.
The worst would be for someone who anchors on beam as the road team, and that's your only event of the day. Imagine waiting for 2 hours. Looks like Abby Sherbin's getting ready to go. Exhibition last week on the bars at home. Had a miss in 8-9.
Last week she had a miss on the overshoot, just a small mishap. Wasn't able to get her glide. So excited to see her complete this bar routine today. Starting with a nice cast handstand. Going into a great shaposh. No issues today on that bail. Little short on that last cast, going straight into a giant full to a high double tuck. Over rotated just a tad, having to take a step back, but that was a great redemption routine for her, and sort of a confidence builder. Even though she's not in the lineup, she's still exhibitioning, and to get a hit is all she can ask for.
And that's it for both of these teams as well, where both teams are allotted up to 2 exhibition per event. So we're still very much in that time of the year where you're trying to get routines under your belt in a competition atmosphere. Again, they've been casually just enjoying their time. The Yale vault team 48.6, that's a season best for them. They were working on a few TikTok dances while the music was just going away and a couple of judges conferences. Zoe Arthur, an 8.9. So they did end up having to take a fair few deductions from that, which means UNH will be at a 47.87. That's almost a full point lower than where they were at this time last week.
Like you mentioned, it's not their best rotation this year, but they had a miss. They had someone come back and hit a great routine after that miss. And sometimes these are the type of rotations that you have early on in the season, and you learn who is built for it, basically, and who's ready and can compete after a fall. And so this is definitely a learning moment for this team, but I don't think it'll have any effect on any of the events going forward.
So Gwen Ockerbloom will finish. So she'll compete in 3 events and then exhibition here, which meant she did get an all-around score last week of a 38.725.
She also started with a great ray, had to extend her arms to catch that bar, going straight into an overshoot, slight leg separation, finishing with a nice handstand on top of the bar, going into a good double tuck. Almost finds the landing, a little side step, but overall a great routine. Sort of inverse of what we just saw from Zoe, Abby on her ray. She was very far, and you see here a great landing. Could have found the stick, just took a little side step.
That's going to do it for the first rotation here from New Haven, Connecticut. Yale with a season best 48.6 on the vault. They'll go to the bars, and New Hampshire will head over to the vault when we return. Lee Amphitheater, Yale with a season best on the vault, including a career best from Lauren Burt, a 9.85. Meanwhile, New Hampshire having to count one miss, despite Serena Mullen putting together a 9.825. It'll be now New Hampshire that goes over the vault, and Yale to the bars. She is an absolute legend in her own right. To my right, that is Kaya Johnson. Kaya, thanks so much again for joining us here on this Tuesday evening, a rearranged meet. And for you, being in a little bit of a different seat, how much are you enjoying this right now?
First, thank you for having me. But I love gymnastics. I love doing it. I love watching it, talking about it. So very excited to be here.
And if you're New Hampshire right now, if you're almost in their shoes, what are you doing to mentally reset, knowing that you kind of missed in the last rotation? And vault, it's not their strength, but it's not their weakness either.
I am just reminding myself to put bars in the past. Bars has already happened. There's nothing they can do about it now. All they can focus on is what's ahead of them and doing big vaults.
And we'll have that second rotation for you when we return on ESPN+. Just about ready to go for the second rotation, but before that, let's take a look back at the highlights from the first rotation. Kaya Johnson first for New Hampshire on the bars, highlighted by Serena Mullins, 9.825. They did have to count a couple of falls, or one fall, I should say.
They did have to count a fall, but their routines as a whole was great. Obviously, Serena coming back after that fall and resetting the lineup. She did her job. They had some high-flying release moves and some great dismounts. Just need to find a little more landings.
Meanwhile, Yale have a day on the vault, a pair of 9.8s or better. Lauren Burt, the best of the bunch, with a 9.85.
Yes, Yale's vaults are always big. Their big focus is always landings, and today they were able to do that, and it reflects in their score.
And that was Lauren Burt's 9.85. Stuck it. And that's something for Yale. Vault has never been their strength, and I don't think they'd be, mindful of me saying that. That's something that, can you tone set and then have it carry for the rest of the day? But a 48.6 for them, especially with, implementing a couple of 10.0 start values later on the season. It's a lot of 9.95 start values. That's about as good as you can do on that event. And ultimately for Andy Lease, that's what he wants the MO of his squad to be. We know who we are. If we take care of our business, then we could just keep progressing from there.
Exactly, and they set themselves up well, like you said. You always want to start the meet on your best foot, and they've done that. They got their highest score this season, so they can bring that momentum going into bars.
All right, so now for New Hampshire, we look what they did last week at home. This was in the quad meet with Iowa State, Bridgeport, and Air Force. New Hampshire went a 48.725, highlighted by Amelia Lannon, a first year out of the 3 spot in the order, going with a 9.825. They were able to drop Polina Menave's 9.65, so they counted everything 9.7 and above, which is a very strong start for them for a team that is in the middle of the pack and eagle on that event. Meanwhile, for Yale on the bars, in their dual meet against Brown, they dropped Gigi Sabatini's 9.625 and had a 9.875 from Ellie Kearns. Ellie will be in the 5 spot in the order today. That will be the only event that she's going to do. Also, Haley Kriz is going to be on exhibition at the end. Good to see Haley back into the lineup, working her way back in, was on beam for the first 2 meets only, but now getting back into more of a rhythm again just proves how deep this Yale squad is. Polina Menave. Getting it started for New Hampshire.
Starting with a nice Yurchenko tuck full, which is why she was in that tuck position rather than a layout. Small slide back, but overall good start for vault.
How important is that leadoff spot in the sense that you might not have that 10.0 start value, but you have to maximize everything?
Exactly. You want to maximize. Your leadoff is normally your confident, consistent leader, and that's exactly who you want to start an event and rotation for your team.
Senior Lauren Holt getting ready to go. Someone who you pretty much know what you're going to get on this event. She is so consistent and really is the one that sets it all for Yale on the bars. Was a 9.7 last week.
Does a nice Jaeger straight into a beautiful cast handstand. Nice overshoot, a little leg separation as she caught the bar, but very minimal.
She has a really unique dismount as well.
Nice 1.5 coming straight out of that giant full. Last week she had a side step, wasn't as controlled. It was great to see her get that controlled landing.
And again, remember for Lauren, she had to wait for the better part of 15 minutes after Yale finished up on vault because there were a couple of judges conferences for New Hampshire on bars, 2 exhibition. It's the worst thing in the world to basically sit, hurry up, and wait.
Exactly. It's not a fun spot to be in, but she handled it well and started her team off on the right foot.
Leah Moreno now on the vault, a 9.7 earlier on the bars.
Unfortunately, when she hit the table, Leah's hand slid a little bit, causing her to miss her block. She still got the vault around to her feet, but had a hard landing with her chest low. You see her limping a little bit, but she was able to put the vault to her feet.
Yeah, this is off your picture right now, needing to be, albeit walking off, but needing assistance from her coaches to get off the mat as well. It's not an easy mat to land on. Those hurt.
It's not, especially if you land in the wrong position. It can really sting those ankles, and with a hand slip like that, honestly, it was a good landing for her. It could have been worse, and she could have, fallen, but she was able to put the vault to her feet. You just hope that she didn't injure herself.
Yeah, she was able to walk off, but did need assistance from her coaches, as now the athletic trainer will tend to her. This is Gigi Sabatini for Yale on the bars. Gigi won a 9.625 on the vault last rotation.
Gigi started with a free hip handstand straight into a Tkachev overshoot. Great connection. Going into a giant full double tuck. Almost gets the stick, slides both feet back really quickly, but that was a great routine for Gigi.
Let's take a look at this. This is Leah Moreno a moment ago.
And if you can see here, her hand slides as she starts her twist, which is what makes her miss getting her block and getting the height she needed to land that vault.
Good to see Maddie Harvey go over and console her teammate. This is now Amelia Lannon.
Amelia did a 1.5, which is a 10.0 start value vault. Unfortunately, she also missed her block a little bit. Last week, she had more amplitude coming off the table, but she was able to land the vault on her feet and, again, do a vault that they needed and that they're going to have to count coming after the mishap before her.
Right now, Polina Minave a 9.55, Leah Moreno's 9.375. So as you said, New Hampshire will have to count that score from Amelia. Lauren Holt starting for Yale with a 9.65. This is Lilia Coyne for Yale. Really strong showing for her on this event last week, 9.725. She is an athlete when her gymnastics are on, they're big and they're dynamic. Last year, it was inconsistent. When she was on, the scores were high. But a lot of work put in the offseason and preseason has gotten her to this spot. Currently in the 3 spot in the rotation for Yale. And Serena Mullen also getting ready to go on the vault.
Lily starting with a blind change into a straddle Jaeger. Going straight into an overshoot handstand. Serena was able to sort of right the ship for her team and do a very clean Yurchenko full chest up on the landing. That should be a good vault to get UNH back on track.
And another hit for Lily as well. But Serena Mullen, again, we spoke about it a lot last rotation, the mental fortitude that she has going up on the bars after a miss, and then thus far in the rotation for New Hampshire, going to count a 9.475, but Serena goes up and did exactly what you expect her to do, and it's a credit to her. And when we spoke with Coach Lindsay Ayotte in the build-up to this, spoke about just the type of competitor that she is, just someone that loves to go out there, and when the lights turn on, she turns on, and we're seeing that.
And that's exactly who you want in those moments when things aren't going so well for the team. She's able to step in, do her job, and sort of get everybody back on track. She's done that on both events so far today.
So Maddie Harvey competing, already a new season best with a 9.8 on the bars in the first rotation. And we'll see her on beam later on tonight as well.
Maddie does a huge Yurchenko full. The amplitude and the distance on that vault is what stands out. She was able to control the landing a little more than she did last week, where she got a 9.725. So the scores are building, and that was a great vault, so I feel like that number will definitely go up for her.
And Serena already bettering her season best with a 9.8 as well. Starting to get some scores coming in for Yale. Meanwhile, this is the sophomore Charlotte Zahn.
Charlotte started with a great cast handstand going into a chapash pack, a little flex feet on the pack salto. Finishing up with a nice handstand. Going into a great double tuck dismount, small little step. That was a beautiful bar routine.
3 straight 9.65s for Yale. They're going to hope to at least drop one of those with their final 3. Meanwhile, Gwen Ackerblum, she is the anchor for the Wildcats on the vault.
That was a great landing for Gwen and a great vault for UNH to end on. Nice Yurchenko full.
Meanwhile, this is again Leah Moreno, who had her hand slip on the vault table, being attended to by the athletic trainer. We wish her all the very best and hope that it's nothing too significant. At the back end of this New Hampshire vault lineup coming through. Again, Serena Mullen setting the table with a 9-8, waiting on Maddie Harvey's score as well. Stacy Boss will be the lone exhibition on the bars, or excuse me, on the vault, my apologies, and Yale still have Ellie Kearns and Chloe DeJoy. Ellie Kearns, by the way, coming off of a big bar score last week with a 9.875. That was after setting a career high in the beam in the opening meet with a 9.75. Or excuse me, tied a career high, I should say.
Great front with a large step on that landing, had a little too much rotation, but great to get that vault out there in exhibition.
And here we go back over to Yale with Ellie Kearns. This is in the 5 spot in the order.
Ellie does a beautiful Jaeger, gets right up to that cast handstand. Nice overshoot. What stands out about Ellie is her lines on bars. When she gets to the handstand, there's really no deduction that you can take. Go straight into that giant full. Going into that double tuck dismount. She didn't really finish the giant full around as much as I saw her finish last week, but she was able to work out of that swing and still get a good dismount. Just landed with her chest slightly down.
Previously, a second team all-conference on this event. Seeing some more scores coming in as well as New Hampshire are done on the vault. Maddie Harvey 9.775, Gwen Ackerblum a 9.8. So for Gwen, that is her season best. Same can be said for Maddie as well. And all in all, when you actually look at the back 3 of the lineup for New Hampshire, 9.775 and a pair of 9.8s. They will have to count Amelia Lannon's 9.475, but it could have been so much worse, especially after what happened to Leah Moreno earlier.
Yeah, you see those back 3 scores, and again, they did their job. Obviously, you never want to have a mistake in a lineup, but things happen, and you have to be able to respond, and the back half of the lineup did just that.
It will be their season low on the event, similar to what they had on the bars. But again, it's all about building that momentum from one event to the next. They often say pass the baton, and that's what New Hampshire has done. Charlotte Zahn with a 9.75 for Yale. Very close to, I should say, what was her season and career high after scoring a 9.8 last week. Big stick as well towards the end of that rotation. Now here comes Chloe DeJoy. This is the anchor for Yale. We're waiting on Ellie Kearns' score to come in. Yale currently have 3 9.65 right now.
Chloe starting her routine with a high piked Jaeger, going straight into that overshoot. Finishing with cast handstand, nice double layout. A little too much rotation. She had to unfortunately take that step back, but that is about one of the biggest double layouts you'll see.
Allie Kearns' score came in with the 9.625. So that will be the score that will be dropped for Yale. They will still have more than a half a point lead going into the back half of the meet.
And you see the height that she gets. Her shoulders continue to move as her feet are touching the ground, which causes that over rotation, but overall a really nice dismount.
Gonna look at Haley Kriz, who is the GEC Newcomer of the Year last year, second team on this event specifically. Her NQS was at a 9.735 and went as high as a 9.825. And again, good to see her back, adding more events. Someone who last season was used pretty regularly on the vault, bars and beam. Waiting on the numbers from Chloe DeJoy. This will be at minimum 0.4 lower than what Yale scored on the bars last week. And I think we're going to have a conference right now as well.
Yeah, they may be discussing that Jaeger to overshoot connection that Chloe just did. Again, gymnastics is so subjective. The judges only get to see the routine one time, and so sometimes conversations need to be had just to make sure everybody's clear with what the gymnast did.
Yeah, so Yale, in comparison last week, they dropped Gigi Sabatini's 9.625, counting all scores above a 9.7. You go the week prior for the Bulldogs, about the same marks. We'll take a look again at Chloe's routine.
And you see here, she does her blind change straight into that Jaeger, and she touches the ground on her glide, which is a deduction, and sometimes it can happen so quickly that that's hard to see for the judges, but she did unfortunately hit the ground.
So this actually might be a score that Yale are going to drop, I would assume.
Yeah, the rest of the routine was clean, but you do get a sizable deduction for hitting your feet. I believe it's 0.3 automatic.
I did see a 1.9425 get posted from one of the judges. So this will be Yale's score to drop. Ultimately, they still have an advantage of a 96.925 to New Hampshire's 96.375. There's now Haley Kriz, the exhibition for Yale, to round out the second rotation.
He's going to start with a chapache, going straight into a beautiful pack salto. Nice pirouette landing on top of the bar. Finishing with a double layout. Almost got the stick, took a little slide backward, but overall that was a great routine to come back with.
That it will be, and she's going to lead off Yale on the beam in the next rotation as well. Someone that was so consistent last season and now carrying it over into her sophomore year. Back in a moment here on ESPN+. Home in this, the 2026 Tonry Invitational. This meet honors the legacy of Barbara Tonry, who is the longtime head coach for Yale women's gymnastics. Let's take a little bit of a look now to her legacy and what she has done for this program.
Barbara Tonry's life work was to surround herself with greatness. Her decorated career as a coach and a gymnast was highlighted by a number of accolades, including her induction into the U.S. Gymnastics Federation Hall of Fame, the National Tumbling and Trampoline Hall of Fame, and the Texas Hall of Fame. Yale Gymnastics won its first ever meet under Barbara's direction, as well as the first ever Ivy League Women's Gymnastics Championship in 1977. The Bulldogs went on to win 9 Ivy League championships and 7 Ivy League Classic titles. In 2017 and 2018, she led the Bulldogs to back-to-back ECAC championships, a first in program history. The success led to her being named the ECAC Coach of the Year in 2017, and then earned the country's highest distinction as USA Gymnastics Collegiate National Head Coach of the Year in 2018. From the beginning, Barbara gave all she had to Yale and the sport of gymnastics. Now, as we look back and celebrate her life, we remember the lasting legacy she left behind, one that will forever live on through Yale gymnastics.
Rotation from John J. Lee Amphitheater. Yale with over a half-point advantage on New Hampshire. Take a look at the highlights now from the second rotation for the Wildcats. They were led by Serena Mullen and Gwen Ockerbloom's 9-8. Again, they needed that bounce back, especially after counting a 9-4-7-5.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Serena was able to right the ship for her team and set the back half of the vault lineup up.
Meanwhile, for Yale, probably an event that they're going to look back on and say this was a missed opportunity. 3 9-6-5s that were counted, highlighted by Charlotte Zahn's 9-7-5, but they left some 10s on the table.
They did, and like you said, there was some missed opportunities, but a good rotation and is giving them momentum going into beam.
And that's the momentum that they need, because this Yale team right now, you look at what they've done over their first 2 meets this season, they have always had to count a fall, and it always has come in the back half of that lineup. So you look at what Yale have on the beam today. Haley Kriz is leading off. Then Gigi Sabatini, always a rock at the 2 spot. Hannah Strauss at the 6 has always been consistent from there, but it's the middle portion right now, and Andy Lease knows, but when we spoke to him earlier, he was someone that's saying, look, this event already has enough pressure. There's no point in putting more pressure. Just enjoy the opportunity, embrace the chance to go out and compete, and then we're going to see what happens.
Exactly. He's confident in his team. It's still early in the season. Yes, they've had some mistakes, but he's confident with the lineup that he's putting up there. It's just time for them to put it together, and I know they've worked on mental preparation, visualization, to just get them ready to hit a clean beam rotation.
So it'll be Haley Kriz to lead off on the beam for Yale, and in a moment we'll have Riley Himes to lead off on the floor for UNH.
Haley started with a nice back handspring layout, really aggressive to her landing position. Beautiful switch leap straddle quarter. Riley getting started with a front layout to Rudy. She's a little off to the side there, showing that she wasn't super square going into that tumbling pass, but a great landing.
Solid so far from Haley, just the dismount to come.
Great round off 1.5, almost gets the stick. Great start for Yale on beam. Riley ending with a nice double tuck controlled landing. She's now getting to have some fun with her dance. Smiling to all her teammates. They're doing her dance moves with her.
Riley led off last week with a 9-7. That's a big score from that leadoff position for the senior out of Orlando.
That is a great score to start. And again, you want your leadoff to be someone who is consistent and can score well so that the team can build off of their performance as they go throughout the lineup.
Now, New Hampshire, they have been known for their floor parties. This is a program that last year, their NQS was a 49.073, went as high as a 49.4. is a team that loves to have a lot of fun, great showmanship. And you're going to see some fun routines and some fun music selections, as well as now Yale's captain Gigi Sabatini will be up on the beam. This is where things started to go south last week for Yale. Gigi with a miss. That was on her series. Ended up scoring a 9.125. The week prior to that at Penn State scored a 9.725. In a meet that was full of chaos because there was also a men's duel that was going on at the same time between Penn State and Army West Point.
Yes, very uncharacteristic mistake from Gigi last week. But if you want somebody in the position to redeem themselves, it's Gigi. She's so consistent and confident. Excited to see her do this beam routine.
She is someone that truly has set the tone for the culture in the Yale gymnastics squad for the last few years. Reason why that she has been named the captain. Stacy Boss also preparing to get ready to go for New Hampshire on the floor. Still waiting for the scores to come in from the first two athletes.
Gigi starting with her full turn requirement, and this is where she had issues last week. No issues today. Very aggressive to her landing position. Nice leap. You can see when the gymnasts are aggressive with their arms and their whole body, you can tell that they're confident in what they're doing. There's no doubt that they're going to stay on the beam, and you can see that with Gigi right now.
Riley Meeks on commentary last week said you don't play defense in gymnastics, you just play on the attack, and that's what Gigi is doing right now.
Finishing with a nice back handspring gainer and gets the stick. That is the routine she wanted to come back with this week.
That follows Haley Krizz's 9.725. Great lead off on the beam. Now Stacy Boss on the floor following Riley Himes's 9.675.
Stacy had a great first pass with a front tuck through to round up back handspring double tuck. Just had a little bit too much power. She had to slide her foot on that lunge, which will be a small deduction.
Stacy a 9.65 on this event last week. Sophomore from Richboro, Pennsylvania.
Just gearing up for her second pass. Front handspring, front double full. She actually had issues on that last week. Too much power and went out of bounds, so it's great to see her get that controlled landing today. It was a great routine for Stacy, very clean.
It was going to be the question for New Hampshire coming into the season, where they were missing a couple of key athletes from the squad from last year. Anya Reed transferred to Maryland, and then you also had Annie Chalman, who is down with an injury right now. Those are two athletes that qualified for NCAA regionals last year as individuals. But again, it's by committee. It's okay, how do you create the environment in the practice gym to say, okay, we have depth for a reason. You get recruited for a reason. And the athletes are performing well now, as here is Charlotte Zahn. Second of her two events that she'll compete today. 9.75, top score for Yale on the bars.
Charlotte actually did not get into the lineup last week, so it's good to see her getting her opportunity. Starting with a beautiful switch leap, straight into a split jump.
Well, she was in the lineup in the opener, also had a fall as well.
Nice back handspring layout. Great side aerial, again being aggressive with her landing positions. Her jump series, split jump, straddle quarter.
Glenna Ackerbloom on the right of your picture, getting her routine started.
dismount. Charlotte put a great beam routine together.
Remember what I said earlier, pass the baton? That's what Yale are doing. Haley Chris started with the 9.725, Gigi Sabatini a 9.75.
This is the confidence that Coach Andy Lease was looking for. Again, you mentioned it earlier, he knows that his team can do it, and the lineup that he puts together is ready. Just have to show it on meet day.
Gwen Ackerbloom has gone as high as a 9.625 on the floor this season.
You see Gwen gearing up for her second pass.
Yeah, last week she went out of bounds on her first pass. Didn't here today.
Nice round off, 1.5 front layout. Good controlled landing. You see her teammates and coaches on the side. She should be very happy with that routine.
Again, it's always a big party whenever the Wildcats are on the floor. Stacy Boss following Riley Himes's 9.675 with a 9.75. Now Ella Tashjian will compete for Yale. Ella put down a 9.8 on the vault earlier today, just off of her career high. And this is also a return for Ella on this event. Has competed regularly in the past. She had this really unique leap series that she's competed over the last couple of years. But again, this is the first time we're seeing it, so I'm curious to see if it has remained.
Starting with a nice full turn, slight arm check as she finished the turn. Gearing up for her series. Handspring layout, step out. Great landing.
Charlotte's on, following Gigi Sabatini with the same 9.75.
Nice switch leap straddle quarter. See her smiling a little bit at the judges. Sideways switch leap, very unique, like you mentioned. Don't see that very often at all. Great side aerial. Had a little bobble in between that connection. And she ends with a gainer full and gets the stick. That is a great routine to come back on for Ella.
And now we get our first look at McCall McMullen, the junior from Georgia. Someone who actually scored a 9.9 in a competition against Yale last year, but that was back at home. That was at Lundholm Gymnasium.
McCall is going to start with a very high double tuck and a very controlled landing. She has a very fun routine, showing her personality. Great leaps there, a little shy on the switch half. Last week, McCall was actually, you mentioned, got a 9.85, but she was actually the one to kind of right the ship for UNH on floor after they had a couple out of bounds. Nice 1.5 front half stag jump.
This is following Gwen Ackerbloom's 9.8. They, like Yale, are seeing the scores build over the course of this rotation.
And again, you get to see her personality. You can see she's enjoying herself, and so are her teammates on the side. Such a great floor routine for McCall. Again, textbook tumbling, but also great controlled landings.
And a textbook celly, and some really fun music as well. About to say that's straight out of the textbook of SEC gymnastics right there with a little drum line.
Very true.
Allie Forbes getting ready to go. Allie, a native of Edmonton, Alberta. So there would be something to be said that a foot plus of snow and near sub-degree temperatures is really nothing new for her. But this is an athlete who has scored high on the beam. In fact, last week in 9.775, she missed at Penn State in the opening meet, and that really saw Yale is actually ending the day, kind of ended on a little bit of a down note. But again, when she's on, the gymnastics can be big.
Like you said, she had a great routine last week. Scores are building for Yale, which is exactly where they want to be.
We're waiting on Ella Tashjan's score, but Yale scoring consistently in the 9-7 range. Still with Hannah Strauss to come in the anchor.
Starting with a nice front toss, little bobble, lifted up her back leg.
Ella scoring a 9.675. That'll be the mark that Yale will look to drop. Now Paulina Menave on the right side of your screen. This is the only event of the 4 that she'll do today where she's not in the anchor. She's competing in the 5, and a little New York, New York for you.
Allie does a great series. You can see she was a little bit off. Her shoulders were leaning a little bit, but that did not stop her. She got straight to her landing position. Small wobble on her leap series there. Nice double tuck, a little too much rotation again. You saw her front foot come off the floor. Great stick for Allie there, and great routine. Nice 1.5 front layout. She was a little bit under rotated at the end of that front layout, but was able to pull it out.
She scored a 9.9 last week on this event, which was a career high. Finished first in that quad event. That was over at the Whittemore Center, the hockey facility that New Hampshire had.
It's a nice double tuck, controlled landing. Nice routine for Paulina. Little landing errors here and there, but a great last pass to finish the routine.
You can understand a little New York, New York, because the native of Smithtown, New York. This is following McCall McMullen's 9.85, a big number for her that ties her season best. Strauss, the senior, has a really unique position for her where she's the anchor on beam and then immediately the leadoff on the floor. Last week on this event, 9.775, and then followed it up with a 9.8 on the floor, which is a huge number on leadoff.
Yeah, that is difficult to do. These gymnasts don't get very much time in between rotations, so to anchor one event and lead off the next takes a lot of skill. Her beam, one thing that stands out to me is her calmness on the beam. She looks so comfortable and calm as she is competing. She had a really great routine last week.
And also Serena Mullen getting ready to go. And thus far on her all-around 9.825 in the bars and a 9.8 on the floor, or excuse me, on vault.
Serena has had herself a night and stepped up big for UNH. She gets ready for her first pass. Front tuck, step out through to double tuck. Great landing, little slide of the front foot, but overall very controlled. Nice leap pass. Got that wolf all the way around. Again, having fun with her floor routine. This is the event where you get to see the gymnast personality come out, and it's also fun to see their teammates having fun on the side along with them.
Currently a conference going on beam, which is why Hannah Strauss's routine's been delayed a little bit.
Serena's getting ready for her last pass. And 1.5 front layout. Great landing. You can see she's excited. That was a great floor routine in the anchor position for UNH.
Last week a 9.85. Today, though, she's following Paulina Menave's 9.675, which means New Hampshire will have to count one of those 9.675s. But again, all in all, when you're looking at how they've competed today, they had to count a miss on bars, 47.975, counting a little bit of a lower score than normal on vault, 48.4. This number is going to be much higher than that, as now Hannah Straw is getting ready to go. And we're still waiting on Allie Forbes' score.
Hannah getting started with her series. That handspring layout, step out. So strong, so confident. Nice front aerial. Good save. Her bottom foot was not completely on the beam, and when you're already on a 4-inch piece of wood, it is hard to stay on when your foot is not totally on. So great save from her.
And she has to fight right now. Allie Forbes' score came in with a 9.55. Peyton Novinger, an exhibition for UNH on the floor. Getting
Beautiful
ready.
Standing layout. Page with a front through to double pike. Great landing, chest up. Hannah doing a back handspring 2-foot double twist. Very unique dismount. Wasn't the exact same routine she did last week, but great fight to stay on that beam.
And no doubt it is going to be a score that will be superior from what Yale have had in their first 2 meets of the season on the beam. Serena Mullen, 9.875. Go on then. Bettering her score from last week.
She is in her element tonight. She has stepped up big for her team in moments after falls, which is huge, and that just shows, again, how much of a competitor she is.
Both teams will have 2 exhibition routines in this 3rd rotation. Still for UNH, they'll have Cléante Thioret. And Yale will have Ella Hargraves and Megan Brueck going.
Peyton finished that routine with a Rudy stag jump. Her stag jump traveled a little far back. You want to go straight up into the air, but overall a good routine, a great landing on her first tumbling pass.
Yeah, so we head back over to the beam as Ella Hargraves getting ready to compete. Andy Lease was telling us earlier that, again, her look on this event has that artistic look that the judges are looking for, the great lines as well. This is an athlete, a couple of years ago, was a level 10 state champion on this event in Indiana. National qualifier as well last year in the club level. This will be the first time that we're seeing her, though, on beam.
Like you said, Andy has talked about his depth on all of the events, but beam being one of them specifically. They have so many girls that they can go to and count on for a hit routine, and that's where you see these exhibition routines come into play. He wants to see his athletes step into these moments and be able to compete the way they train these routines in practice.
And we're going to have another conference on the beam, this time for Hannah Straws. So we'll head back over to the floor. This is Cléante Thioret, the sophomore from Ottawa, Ontario, and get ready for a lot of fun right now. This routine is outstanding.
Cléante has so much fun when she's performing. You can see it on her face the entire time. This is a fun routine to watch.
And also, anybody that competes to music by Timmy Trumpet gets an automatic plus from me.
Leon starts with a double tuck, landed with her chest a little down. Looked like she was lacking rotation. Great leaps, showing off her flexibility in that ring jump. Another switch ring to switch half. And here's where she starts to have so much fun. Her performance quality is next level.
That's something that Coach Ayat was telling us before. Can really turn any arena into her own personal arena.
She does a front layout, front full. Ending with a huge smile. Such an exciting routine. She did have a little chest forward on that first landing, but otherwise great routine. She's been in this exhibition spot before. Another great routine to show her coaches and her team that she's ready to break into that lineup.
Yeah, and when we spoke with Coach A, she really said that their lineup is still kind of piecing some things together. This is not going to be the complete picture in March when it comes to conference championship season. Again, you're still seeing the judges deliberating. This is on Yale's Hannah Strauss's routine. I think there were also might have been some questions about Allie Forbes's routine as well.
Yeah, Allie's score came in at a 9.55. There were some wobbles, but outside of that, that was really it. So the judges might be discussing. Again, it's easy to miss things or not get values correct. So that's why those conversations happen, so that they get the correct start value and scores for these gymnasts.
And I like what Ella has done a couple times. She's reset again. Has had to wait there now for 6-7 minutes or so. And again, this is the first time she's competed on beam for Yale, albeit this is an exhibition. Yale still have Megan Bruick to come.
For her series right here. Back handspring layout. Fortunately off to the side. Getting back up on the beam to reset. Finish her routine. Nice full turn. Switch leap to split 3/4. Unfortunately, another fall.
So this has to, again, be part and parcel for the amount of time that she's had to wait. It's a credit to her that she reset a couple of times.
She did have to wait a very long time to get up on the beam. And like we talked about earlier on bars, gymnastics is a mental game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's part of it. She's going to gear up for her dismount, round off 1.5, small hop forward. Obviously not the routine that she wanted, but also not in ideal circumstances. I know she'll get back into the gym, drill those skills she made mistakes on, and be ready for the next opportunity.
And I could see Yale, as you see Ella going through her routine, I could see multiple papers are coming out right now because Yale have seen Allie Forbes as 9.55 and Hannah Strauss as 9.525. You know, gut instinct tells me that Yale are going to be looking at least one of these scores. Yale's still their season best on the beam with a 48.45, but I want to talk just a little bit more, Kaya, as someone like yourself who's competed at the highest level literally in a national championship on beam. You have so much chaos that is out of your control that's going on. For you, what do you do to center yourself knowing that I can't control anything until the green flag goes up to say I could go?
Yeah, for me, I was very similar to Ella. Resetting was the name of the game for me. and staying in my own zone and bubble, I like to say. There's so much things going on around you, and there's judges, there's fans, there's just a lot going on, other routines going on at the same time. And so for me, the big thing was just trying to stay in my zone, focus on my gymnastics, the things that I had in front of me, rather than focusing on everything going on around me.
So Megan Bruick will round out, this is the last exhibition for Yale. Now, she started the season as an exhibition at Penn State in a dual meet. Scored what would have been a career best 9.8. Last week was in the lineup and had falls and scores an 8.6. Megan is someone that, like, said it often enough with a few other athletes, when it's on, it's very much there. I remember Andy Lee's telling me a couple of years ago that it's taken some time for Megan to really find her love for the beam, which is, again, you're flipping on a piece of wood, as you said, that's 4 inches wide. But her gymnastics are so great that when it's there, it's a score that Yale can truly depend upon week in, week out. This again also proves how deep the Yale lineup is, that, okay, we've got 7, 8 athletes that can go consistently and put up those big numbers. Just how consistent can you be when your name's called?
Exactly, and it's just what you said. Consistency is key. It's amazing to have depth in your lineups, but that does mean that everyone has to be on every day. Starting with a handspring layout, small wobble, bent at the hips there. She was just a little bit unsquare coming out of that back handspring. Switch leap, split jump, split 3/4. Which is where she had the fall last week, so great to see her hit that leap combination. Good side aerial, fighting to stay on the beam.
Mentality-wise, how important is it for you to get through that skill the following week after a miss?
It's so important. It does so much to your confidence to do well on the skill that you missed and to complete a routine that you know how to do. She finishes with a front full, small step forward, but overall a good routine, and again, like I was just saying, building her confidence and consistency.
And we will see Megan later on the floor. In fact, in the next rotation, as the third rotation is complete, Yale leads, but just by a 1/2 tenth. We'll be back in a moment on ESPN+. John J. Lee Amphitheater in New Hampshire have clawed things back, scoring a 48-9-5 on the floor. Yale, solid start on the beam, but had to count one sub 9-6, and it'll be just a half of a 10th lead as we head to the final rotation. Take a look at the upcoming schedules for both of these squads, and these two teams will lock horns in just a couple of days' time. It'll be a tri-meet up at Lundholm Gymnasium up at University of New Hampshire with Towson. So that'll also be an Eagle competition for the Wildcats as well. Then they will host Temple in a duel before going to GW with GEC opposition William & Mary there as well. For Yale, again, they'll be going up to New Hampshire in a couple of days' time. Then they'll have their home senior meet, which will be on the 7th against crosstown rival Southern Connecticut State. Then they will head down to the city of brotherly love, Temple, to compete in a quad with Brown and William & Mary. When we come back, we'll have the 4th rotation next on ESPN+. Rotation here from New Haven, Connecticut. It's basically deja vu all over again for Yale at home. It was down to the wire against Brown. It's very much the same thing here today as New Hampshire as a team scoring a 48-9-5 on the floor. Let's take a look back at the highlights from that 3rd rotation alongside Kaya Johnson. I'm JJ Duke, and I mean, it was basically copy and paste, 3 scores above a 9-8, and it was finished by, once again, Serena Mullen, the 9-8-7-5.
Yeah, it was a great floor rotation to get UNH back on track doing the gymnastics they know how to do. Great tumbling and great landings.
The score that they dropped was Riley Himes's 9-6-7-5. Now Yale on the beam, it was looking good through 4. 9-7-5 from Gigi Sabatini and Charlotte Zahn, but then Allie Forbes 9-5, Hannah Strauss 9-5-2-5. We've had a lot of conversations between the judges all throughout today. Kaya, well, we saw it have a big impact on Yale's exhibition athletes in Ella Hargraves and Megan Bruick. Ella specifically had to wait for about 6-7 minutes before she could compete. I'm not quite sure if there's going to be any sort of appeal coming from Yale. We've seen some papers being exchanged, but right now they've got to flush it out because the floor is where they're at the best. Last year, the best NQS and GEC at a 49.095. This year, they've gone 48.875. They're so deep in this event, but it's now just the mental game, the game between the ears.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, there was a lot going on at beam after those final 2 routines, but now they move on to floor where they shine. This is their opportunity to break forward and get that lead. Their floor routines are great. You see high tumbling, but also good landings. So I'm excited to see what type of floor rotation they can put together.
You can see the MO from the squad right now. They're fired up. They want stuck landings, big passes, a lot of showmanship, and one big wrinkle to Yale's rotation. I always say they keep the best for last, but Ella Tashin not in the anchor spot today. Annie Bilby, as a first year, is going to close out the scoring. She'll be in the 6th. Meanwhile, for the 3rd time today, Paulina Manave will be leading off for New Hampshire, this time on the beam. Hannah Strauss on the right side of your picture will be on floor for Yale. Remember, she closed out the scoring on the rotation for Yale on the beam with the 9.525.
Paulina getting started. The back handspring layout. Big wobble, had to pike at her hips and lift her foot. Hannah starts with a nice 2.5 front tuck. Very difficult tumbling pass to do.
And Hannah scored a 9-8 from the leadoff spot last week for Yale on the floor.
Paulina with a nice front toss. Aggressive to her landing position. Goes into a round off 1.5. Fights for the stick. There will be a small deduction for that movement. She stayed on the beam, but she did have a pretty sizable wobble.
Never an easy thing being the leadoff, let alone being an all-arounder and leading off 3 times.
And that goes into this last pass, round off back handspring, double pike. Great chest up on her landing. She slid her front foot just a little bit, but otherwise great routine. And again, she ended beam and started this rotation, which is something that's very difficult to do, and she does it, it looks like, with ease all the time.
Yeah, that she does, and basically that's what she's done for the entirety of her career here with Yale. Multiple times all conference honors. Yale's lineup will see Megan Bruick and Gigi Sabatini, a trio of seniors to start. Riley Himes is getting ready to go on the beam and having a long conversation right now with one of the assistants, that is Alyssa Worthington. And interesting, when we spoke with Coach Ayotte in the build-up, she was speaking a lot about the little shift in culture that they had, where changing a little bit in terms of the coaches for events, trying to find that right gel and right mixture. Head coach Lindsay, she does the bars, Alyssa does the beam, and Nick Kramer will do the floor and the vault. And there's always just been really good communication that Coach Ayotte pointed to, and the athletes have gravitated toward that, whether it's finding the right times for positive, right times for, okay, we spotted this, how can we fix it? But it seems like it's all come together.
Polina starting with nice full turn. And you mentioned the culture. That's something that's huge in the sport of gymnastics, and you can really see that translate to the competition floor. Does a very unique and very difficult standing layout, step out, no problems at all.
Megan Bruick getting ready to go for Yale.
Nice switch leap, tuck 3/4. Riley is putting together a solid beam routine, see if she can get her dismount. There's a round off 1.5. A little too much rotation, had to take that step forward.
That followed Polina Menave's 9.65 to begin. Now Megan Bruick. Last week it was her score that was dropped at a 9.575 on the event. Megan, a couple of weeks ago, a 9.725 at Penn State on the floor. There's been all conference on this event as well.
Megan is going to start with the front layout, punch Rudy. Little chest down on her landing there, but great form throughout both of those skills. Does a nice tour jeté full. You want to make sure you get all the way around to get the full bonus for the leaps that you are doing. You see she does a round off, punch layout, step out to fulfill the back tumbling requirement. Another nice leap as she gets ready for this last pass. This is where she had the issue last week. Front layout, front full, no issue today.
On the left side of your picture, Amelia Lannon getting ready, or getting underway, I should say, for New Hampshire on the beam.
Nice routine for Megan. Again, we see another unique series, side aerial, side aerial.
Riley Himes at 9.8 following Polina Menave's 9.65.
Switch leap, tuck 3/4. Fights to stay on the beam. You can see she was a little bit off in between that connection, which led to her tuck 3/4 being off as well. But great save. Back handspring step out, small wobble. Get ready for her dismount. Round off 1.5. Small hop forward. Overall, great routine for Amelia.
A freshman from Sutton, Mass, who started off her career at Maryland with a 9.725. Scored a 9.65 last week at home, part of a beam team for UNH that went 48-7. Capped off by Maddie Harvey. It's been a minute since we've been able to talk about her, but we will in a bit, as she anchored with a 9.925, a stunning routine. So now Gigi Sabatini waiting her turn to 9.75 on the beam, 9.65 on the bars, and 9.625 on the vault.
She's put together a great meet so far, and floor is where she really shines with her amplitude on her tumbling, but also her ability to control the landings. She's going to start with a round up back handspring, double pike. Great landing, no deduction. Her chest was up. She was controlled. It's a textbook double pike. Good form on her tourjete popa. Back handspring, 1.5 front layout. Smirks and smiles at her teammates as she finishes. She's putting together a really nice routine for Yale. Just getting ready for this last pass. Handspring, Rudy, straddle jump. Again, you see she's having fun. That was a great floor routine. Again, her tumbling is textbook. Her leaps, there is really nothing you can take off on those either.
You could let the judges know, that'd be great.
I'll just walk over and tell them.
Yeah, might as well. And for the 20th time in her career, Gigi Sabatini has completed an all-around. Also spotted our camera as well after that last pass. And we're having a conference right now, as we've seen to have a few times here on the beam. This is for Amelia Lannon. Riley Heim scoring a 9.8. Big mark again. New Hampshire led off with Polina Menave's 9.65.
Riley had a great routine, and Amelia followed with another great routine, but she did have a mishap on that leap connection, which is probably what the judges are talking about.
And I'm seeing a 9.9 over there for Gigi Sabatini by one of those judges. So I think they're clearly tuned into what we're talking about.
They heard me, hopefully. No, a really great routine. Again, she's so clean, and her gymnastics is textbook, so there really is not many built-in deductions, which is why her scores on floor are always at the top.
We call it speaking into existence. As right now, Chloe DeJoy getting going for Yale. 9.7 for her last week.
Chloe getting started with a punch, front double full. It looks easy to do, but it is not. She's not getting any momentum from doing a front handspring, the skill that people normally do before that.
Gigi Sabatini's score in a 9.85. Almost a full 10th better than her previous season high. Has been waiting by the beam for quite a while now for New Hampshire.
Chloe going for that 1.5 front layout. Nice clean landing.
Nice final pass from Chloe. Wrapping up a really solid routine.
Another unique series. Back handspring 2-foot, layout, step out. No wobble. Switch leap, switch leap. Little shy on her splits. Great side aerial connection. Gwen is confident in her skills and what she's doing, and you can see it in her landings. Gearing up for her dismount. Round off 1.5, spots the landing, takes a small hop forward.
Big routine from Gwen Ackerbloom. This follows Amelia Lannon's 9.25. There was a long conversation with the judges. We've had a few conferences on this event specifically.
Yeah, they were probably going over coming up her leap series like you saw there. Her acro series was great. No mistakes. But here, you can see right there, she hesitated a little bit going into that second skill. Your leaps, you are supposed to have continuous movement through your arms. So that was probably the holdup to figure out if she's going to get credit for that skill and that connection or not.
And Ella Tashjian going not in the 6 in the anchor, but in the 5. This follows Chloe DeJoy's 9.75. Annie Bilby will anchor today for Yale.
Ella starting with a nice double pike. Controlled landing, kept her front foot planted in the ground on that lunge.
Love the team's reaction, by the way, just off of your picture. Not only doing the choreography with her, but they've basically been screaming at her from moment go.
A nice front full, front layout. Again, great control. Like you said, her teammates are in it with her.
Serena Mullen underway on the beam, trying to round out what has been a fabulous day in her return back to the Nutmeg State.
Ella ended with a fall and looks like another injury. Serena doing her leap. Great switch half.
Yes, right now they've ended the music for Ella's routine. The athletic trainer
Nice
currently
side
with her.
aerial. Serena's finishing her routine. Serena getting ready for her dismount. Round off 1.5, small scoot forward. I wouldn't even consider that a hop. She has had herself a day, put together an impressive all-around performance.
If she puts up the number that we know that she's capable of doing, will likely be winning the all-around with another score of north of 39. And right now you're seeing Yale's athletic training staff working with Ella Tashjian, who fell on her final pass. Waiting right now, Maddie Harvey, the anchor on the beam for New Hampshire. If we get any updates on Ella, we'll be sure to pass them along. Now, Maddie last week with a stunning set on this, what was the third rotation for New Hampshire, 9.925. Bit of a character as well. We've been seeing her, can't quite say pacing, but basically coming up with different dance moves about every 10 seconds or so. Her world right now is just having a whole lot of fun, and still actually.
You can tell she has fun when she's competing, but also when she's on the sideline with her team. You mentioned her 9.925 last week. Excited to see what she can do today on this event.
She was normally the leadoff for this team last year, but again, upped from 1 to 3 events for this season.
Beautiful triple series, backhand spring, layout, step out. You saw she was a little bit off, but corrected herself to save a wobble. It was a nice switch leap split jump. Showing off some of her flexibility there. And he starts with a front layout, front double full. You see she was a little bit under rotated, which caused her to step backward, not go in the direction that she's tumbling. Maddie, a great gainer pike to cap off that routine. Let's round off layout, step out. Again, Annie does that to fulfill the back tumbling requirement. She does multiple front tumbling passes in her routine.
Last week in 9.825 was 3rd in the duel for Yale against Brown.
Last pass, front handspring, Rudy, split jump. Great routine for Annie, especially going after a fall before her. She's only a freshman and she's stepping up big for this team already. A nice way for her to end her night.
And we're being told by our crew that some positive news. Ella Tashin was actually able to walk off under her own power to go into the back room to be further attended to. Did see the athletic trainer actually working on her calf, which first off, just in athletics, you never want to see the knee. So that's already a positive. We're not going to look any more into it, but in the context of this meet, Kaya, things have gotten really interesting. You've already pointed towards something. That one of the beam scores?
I saw a 9.875, I believe, for Maddie Harvey.
So right now, New Hampshire leads 193.525 to Yale's 193.4. Both teams are counting falls technically right now. When the scores come in, it's going to go down to the wire.
McCall started with a great backhand spring layout. She's in this exhibition spot. Nice front toss. Looking very solid and confident in herself and her gymnastics.
And this is the lone exhibition for Yale on the floor with Lauren Burt. There's 2 exhibitions for New Hampshire. We'll see Shannon Stivala in just a moment. Burt was at 9.725 as an exhibition on this event last week. Again, showing the great depth that Yale has.
Nice round off 1.5 for McCall to finish up that routine. Pretty leaps for Lauren there, a little shy on her 180 and that split full. Full front layout for her second pass. You can see she's a little off to the side, not quite in the corner. Lauren will enter routine with a beautiful double tuck. Very nice amplitude with a great landing. That was a great finish for Yale on floor.
So this is Shannon Stavala, be the final performer for the evening. We're still waiting on getting the scores coming in for both teams' anchors right now.
Very nice front toss connected to back handspring. Shannon was in the exhibition spot last week as well and hit her routine. Had a slight mishap there on her leap connection, but improvised and added a skill. Great thinking on her feet. Nice split full, little chest down on her landing. Gearing up for her dismount here. Back handspring gainer full and gets the stick. Nice routine to end her night in the meet for New Hampshire.
And that it will, and what we're going to do now is we're going to step aside for a couple of moments as we're tabulating all the scores up, and we will let you know who wins this duel between Yale and New Hampshire when we return on ESPN+.
Barbara Tonry's life work was to surround herself with greatness. Her decorated career as a coach and a gymnast was highlighted by a number of accolades, including her induction into the U.S. Gymnastics Federation Hall of Fame, the National Tumbling and Trampoline Hall of Fame, and the Texas Hall of Fame. Yale Gymnastics won its first ever meet under Barbara's direction, as well as the first ever Ivy League Women's Gymnastics Championship in 1977. The Bulldogs went on to win 9 Ivy League championships and 7 Ivy League Classic titles. In 2017 and 2018, she led the Bulldogs to back-to-back ECAC championships, a first in program history. The success led to her being named the ECAC Coach of the Year in 2017, and then earned the country's highest distinction as USA Gymnastics Collegiate National Head Coach of the Year in 2018. From the beginning, Barbara gave all she had to Yale and the sport of gymnastics. Now, as we look back and celebrate her life, we remember the lasting legacy she left behind, one that will forever live on through Yale Gymnastics.
Welcome back here to John J. Lee Amphitheater on the campus of Yale University. We are completed here, and well, I said earlier, Kaya Johnson, it was deja vu all over again for Yale Gymnastics. Last week losing by 0-5 to Brown. Today, they needed a judge's inquiry to get Hannah Strauss's 9.7 boosted to a 9.75, and Yale wins by a half of a tenth. As you're taking a look now at the highlights, and what a second half of the day it was for New Hampshire, highlighted by Maddie Harvey's 9.875.
Yeah, they didn't have a perfect meet, not the start that they wanted on bars and vaults, but came back on floor and beam to finish out a solid performance at a road dual meet.
Yeah, they had to count a 9.65 from Polina Minave. Yale had to get through the miss from Ella Tashin at a 9.025, but 9.85 from Gigi Sabatini was enough to see Yale over the line.
And they had great clean tumbling, high tumbling, and we're having fun. A nice floor rotation to cap off the night.
So let's send it over now to public address announcer Kevin Lazeau, who is announcing the awards for today's meet.
From Yale, Ella Tashin. And in first place with a 9.85 from Yale, Lauren Burt. Final results in the uneven bars. In third place with a 9.75 from Yale, Charlotte Zahn. In second place with a 9.8 from UNH, Maddie Harvey. And in first place with a 9.825 from UNH, Serena Mullen. Individual scores, balance beam. In third place with a 9.775 from UNH, Gwen Ackerblum. In second with a 9.8 from UNH, Riley Himes. And in first place with a 9.875, again from UNH, Maddie Harvey. Floor exercise, a two-way tie for second, both with a 9.85. From UNH, McCall McCullen. And from Yale, Gigi Sabatini. And in first place with a 9.875 from UNH, Serena Mullen. All around results. In third with a 38.475 from UNH, Polina Minave. In second with a 38.875 from Yale, Gigi Sabatini. And in first with a 39.225 from UNH, Sienna Mullen, or Serena, I apologize. And your final team scores, UNH with a 194.150, Yale with a 194.200. Yale is your winner.
And there it is, the conclusion of the results and the awards for today's meet in the 2026 Tonry Invitational. Yale wins with a 194.2 to UNH's 194.15. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching this presentation of women's college gymnastics on ESPN. For our entire crew, for my partner Kaya Johnson, I'm JJ Duke saying so long and enjoy the rest of your week.